Shadow's Redemption, a Frontier Tale, written by Reuben White. Chapter 1, Solitude on the Frontier. The sun hung low in the vast expanse of the sky, casting long shadows across the rugged landscape of the Wild West. The air was heavy with the scent of sagebrush and dust, and the only sound that broke the silence was the rhythmic clip-clop of hooves as George Tyler Sanders rode across his sprawling ranch. George was a solitary figure, a man of few words and even fewer companions. His ranch was his kingdom, a kingdom of dust and dreams, where the only law was the law of the land, and the only judge was the unforgiving terrain itself. He had carved out a life for himself in the wilderness, finding solace in the simplicity of the countryside and the company of his loyal steed, a chestnut mare named Belle. But beneath the tranquility of the rolling plains lay a festering resentment, a simmering anger that burned bright in George's chest like a coal in the darkness. For months, he had watched helplessly as his precious livestock disappeared into the night, stolen away by faceless thieves who dared not show their hand. Each dawn brought a new dawn of dread, as he counted his herd and found them dwindling, lost, to the darkness that enveloped his world. As George rode across the ranch, his eyes scanned the horizon with a sense of quiet desperation, searching for any sign of the thieves who dared to defile his land and rob him of his legacy. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, and George knew that the time had come to confront the demons that lurked in the shadows of the frontier. With a heavy heart and a steely resolve, he turned his horse towards the setting sun and rode off into the wilderness, his mind set on one thing and one thing alone: vengeance. For in the unforgiving landscape of the Old West, where bullets fly and secrets abound, the only certainty is that not everyone will make it out alive. But those who do will be forged in the crucible of the frontier, their spirits as unyielding as the mountains themselves, their souls as timeless as the shadows in the dust. Chapter 2, The Ransom Note. The sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a sky painted in shades of crimson and gold. George Tyler Sanders returned to his ranch, weary from the day's work but with a heart heavy with anticipation. As he dismounted Belle and led her into the stable, a glint of moonlight caught his eye, illuminating a small piece of parchment pinned to the door. With a furrowed brow, George approached the note, his heart pounding in his chest like the hooves of a stampeding herd. He reached out a weathered hand and plucked the parchment from the door, the paper crackling beneath his touch. His eyes scanned the words, each one like a dagger to his soul. "We have your animals. If you want them back alive, you'll pay us what we're owed. Meet us at high noon tomorrow at Dead Man's Canyon, alone. Come armed, or don't come at all." A chill ran down George's spine as he read the words, his hands trembling with rage. He crumpled the note in his fist, his jaw clenched in determination. He would not be cowed by these thieves, these cowards who hid in the shadows and preyed on the innocent. With a steely resolve, George made a silent vow to confront the thieves and reclaim what was rightfully his, no matter the cost. He knew the risks, knew the dangers that awaited him in Dead Man's Canyon, but he would not back down. For beneath the simmering anger that burned in his chest, there was a fire that blazed bright with the promise of justice. As the moon rose high in the sky, casting long shadows across the land, George Tyler Sanders prepared himself for the showdown that awaited him at high noon. And as he lay down to rest, his mind filled with thoughts of retribution and revenge, he knew that the dawn would bring with it a reckoning unlike any the Wild West had ever seen. Chapter 3, The Trail of Shadows. The sun rose high in the sky, casting a golden glow over the rugged expanse of the Wild West as George Tyler Sanders saddled up Belle and set out on his journey into the unknown. His heart beat like the pounding hooves of a runaway stallion, each step bringing him closer to the perilous showdown that awaited him at Dead Man's Canyon. Armed with a Colt revolver and a soul forged in the crucible of the frontier, George rode across the unforgiving terrain, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of the thieves who had stolen his animals. The trail was long and treacherous, winding its way through desolate plains and rocky canyons, but George pressed on, his determination unwavering. As he rode, George encountered a motley crew of outlaws, mercenaries, and deceitful allies, each with their own agenda and hidden motives. Some offered to join him on his quest for revenge, their eyes gleaming with the promise of gold and glory, while others sought to hinder his progress, their intentions as murky as the depths of the night. But George paid them little heed, his focus fixed on the task at hand. For in the shadows of the frontier, where danger lurked around every bend and death rode on the wind, there was no room for hesitation or doubt. He rode with the conviction of a man possessed, his mind clear and his aim true, ready to confront the demons that awaited him at the end of the trail. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, George Tyler Sanders pressed on, his resolve unbroken, his spirit unyielding. For in the unforgiving landscape of the Old West, where bullets fly and secrets abound, the only certainty is that not everyone will make it out alive. But those who do will be forged in the crucible of the frontier, their spirits as unyielding as the mountains themselves, their souls as timeless as the shadows in the dust. Chapter 4, Shadows of Doubt. The trail stretched out before George like a ribbon of fate, leading him deeper into the heart of darkness that lurked within the Wild West. With each passing mile, the stakes escalated, and the shadows that danced on the horizon grew darker, more ominous. Yet George pressed on, his determination unyielding, his resolve unwavering. As he rode, George delved deeper into the mystery of the stolen cattle, piecing together clues like shards of broken glass, scattered across the desert floor. He followed the trail of shadows, tracking the thieves through rugged canyons and winding rivers, his senses sharp, his instincts honed by years of living on the edge of the frontier. But the journey was not without its dangers. Along the way, George faced off against increasingly dangerous adversaries, each more cunning and ruthless than the last. Bandits lurked in the shadows, their eyes gleaming with malice, while vultures circled overhead, waiting to feast on the carcass of his dreams. Yet through it all, George remained undeterred, his spirit unbroken, his resolve unshakable. For in the heart of the Wild West, where danger lurked around every bend and death rode on the wind, there was no room for doubt or hesitation. There was only the relentless pursuit of justice, the burning desire to reclaim what was rightfully his. But as George delved deeper into the darkness that lay within his own heart, he began to question the line between justice and revenge. The thirst for vengeance burned bright within him, consuming him like a wildfire raging out of control. The demons that haunted his dreams grew stronger, their whispers echoing in the depths of his soul. And as the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, George Tyler Sanders found himself standing at a crossroads, torn between the light and the darkness that lurked within. For in the unforgiving landscape of the Old West, where bullets fly and secrets abound, the only certainty is that not everyone will make it out alive. But those who do will be forged in the crucible of the frontier, their spirits as unyielding as the mountains themselves, their souls as timeless as the shadows in the dust. Chapter 5, Dance of Shadows. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a harsh glare over the desolate landscape of Dead Man's Canyon, and as George Tyler Sanders rode into the heart of darkness, his Colt revolver was strapped to his hip, a cold weight against his side, as he scanned the canyon walls for any sign of the thieves who had stolen his animals. The air was thick with tension, every nerve in George's body on edge as he felt the weight of their gaze upon him. He knew that he was walking into a trap, a deadly game of cat and mouse where survival depended on quick wits and even quicker trigger fingers. But he was prepared to risk it all for a chance at redemption, for the opportunity to reclaim what was rightfully his. As he rode deeper into the canyon, George felt the eyes of his adversaries upon him, watching his every move like hungry wolves, circling their prey. He could sense their presence lurking in the shadows, their breath hot against his neck like the whisper of the wind through the canyons. And then, without warning, they struck. Gunshots rang out in the stillness of the canyon, echoing off the walls like a death knell. Bullets whizzed past George's head, kicking up dust and debris as he ducked for cover behind a rocky outcrop. The canyon erupted into chaos, a symphony of gunfire and shouts as George and his adversaries clashed in a deadly dance of shadows. Each shot was a gamble, each move a risk, as George fought tooth and nail to survive in the unforgiving landscape of the Old West. But amidst the chaos and carnage, George Tyler Sanders remained undeterred, his aim true and his spirit unbroken. For in the heart of the Wild West, where bullets fly and secrets abound, there was no room for fear or hesitation. There was only the relentless pursuit of justice, the burning desire to reclaim what was rightfully his. And as the smoke cleared and the echoes of gunfire faded into the silence of the canyon, George found himself standing face to face with the mastermind behind the theft of his animals. Their eyes met in a silent exchange of defiance and determination, each man knowing that only one would walk away from this showdown alive. For George Tyler Sanders, this was his chance at redemption, his opportunity to reclaim what was rightfully his. And he would risk everything to see justice served, even if it meant staring death in the face and staring it down with steely resolve. Chapter 6: Shadows in the Dust. The silence of the desert hung heavy in the air as George Tyler Sanders stood face to face with the mastermind behind the theft of his animals. Their eyes locked in a silent battle of wills, the tension between them palpable like the crackle of lightning in a stormy sky. For a moment, time seemed to stand still, the world around them fading into the background as they stood on the precipice of destiny. George could feel the weight of his choices bearing down on him like a mountain, each one a crossroads that would shape the course of his future. And then, without warning, the silence was shattered by the sound of gunfire. Bullets flew through the air like angry hornets, tearing through flesh and bone with deadly precision. George's heart pounded in his chest as he dodged and weaved, his instincts taking over as he fought for his life. But amidst the chaos and carnage, something changed within George Tyler Sanders. A fire ignited in his soul, burning bright with the promise of redemption. With each shot fired and each blow exchanged, he felt the darkness that had consumed him slowly begin to fade, replaced by a sense of clarity and purpose. In a moment of clarity, George made a fateful choice that would redefine his sense of justice and reshape the landscape of the Wild West. With a steady hand and a resolve as unyielding as the mountains themselves, he stood his ground and faced his adversary head-on. And then, just as quickly as it had begun, the gunfire ceased, the smoke cleared, and the echoes of violence faded into the silence of the desert. George Tyler Sanders emerged from the crucible of the frontier, his spirit forged anew by the fires of vengeance and tempered by the shadows in the dust. As he looked out over the rugged expanse of the Wild West, George knew that the journey was far from over. But with each step forward, he carried with him the lessons learned and the scars earned, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, and the enduring power of justice. And as he rode off into the sunset, his heart filled with a sense of peace and purpose, he knew that he would forever be a shadow in the dust, a guardian of the frontier, and a symbol of hope for those who dared to dream of a better tomorrow. In the wake of the tumultuous showdown in Dead Man's Canyon, George Tyler Sanders found himself standing amidst the aftermath, the echoes of gunfire still reverberating in the air. The landscape bore the scars of their battle, a testament to the violence that had unfolded in the heart of the Wild West. But amidst the wreckage, George stood tall, his gaze fixed on the horizon with a sense of quiet determination. Though the journey had been long and treacherous, he had emerged from the crucible of the frontier, forged anew by the fires of vengeance and tempered by the shadows in the dust. With a heavy heart and a steely resolve, George turned his horse towards the setting sun, his mind filled with thoughts of the future and the challenges that lay ahead. For though the road ahead was uncertain, he rode with the knowledge that he had reclaimed what was rightfully his and brought justice to those who had wronged him. As he rode off into the sunset, his spirit soared like a bird set free, his soul as timeless as the shadows in the dust. For in the unforgiving landscape of the Old West, where bullets fly and secrets abound, George Tyler Sanders had become more than just a man. He was a legend, a symbol of hope for those who dared to dream of a better tomorrow, and a guardian of the frontier for generations to come. And as the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, George knew that his journey was far from over. But with each passing mile, he carried with him the memories of his past and the promise of a brighter future, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, and the indomitable will to survive. If you are enjoying adventures in the Wild West, feel free to hit the subscribe button for future posts.